4 days, 9 safety experts, 13 presentations, one simple mission: to make diving safer. This is Dan at DEMA 2020. Safety seminars from the pros who know.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our final session of day one of Dan's DEMA webinars. We're really glad to have you all joining us for this unusual DEMA, but we're getting great attendance and great participation so far, and we're really pleased to be taking part. So thanks to all of you for joining. Special thanks to all of you who are Dan members. Heck, for this presentation, I'm guessing that's just about everybody. Beyond members, you're Dan instructors, instructor trainers, and examiners, and we really appreciate everything that you do to make diving safer. So, of course, this is the update, the 2020 instructor trainer update. Please let us know in the chat where you're coming from. And also, this is an important piece of housekeeping business. Please put in your full name. Most people are putting in your full name and your instructor number already. That's great. So if we can't gather it from your Zoom handle, it might already be there in your Zoom window. But just in case it's not clear, do make sure you give your first and last name so we can count your attendance if you are interested in having this counted for official purposes. So with that being said, let me introduce, well, first myself. My name's Brian Harper. If this is the first session you've attended today, welcome, or if it's the third or fourth, welcome you too. I'm the Director of Communications here at Dan, and we've got a great series of webinars for you going every afternoon this week, so please continue to tune in throughout the week. This session will be brought to us by Jim Gunderson. Jim is a member of our risk mitigation team. He heads up Dan training. He has been a diver since 1986. Jim holds degrees in marine science from the University of Hawaii at Hilo and psychology from the University of Wyoming. He is now a course director and a Dan examiner. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Jim.
Thanks, Brian, for that great introduction. And thank you all for attending today. I wish we were doing this in person in New Orleans, and then we could go out and indulge in jambalaya and some great jazz afterwards, but we'll have to wait for 2023 to do that. This instructor trainer update, we will also be holding this in further webinars as well in December and maybe into January. But we wanted to get this one out of the way with DEMA and get you guys up to speed on this. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover some departmental news, some expanded departmental duties, just so you guys are understanding what changes are going on with risk mitigation and training. We're going to talk about statistics. We're going to talk about our COVID protocols, version 3.0, how we're going to roll version 3.0 out in the future. And we're going to cover some frequently asked questions, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. And as Brian said, if you haven't already, please put in your name and your instructor number in there, and that way we can use this for your credentials. Alrighty, so as most of you are probably aware, and you read in Oxygen Window, Patty Siri has retired. I have some very, very big shoes to fill. Patty has been a mentor for me since 2016 when I first met her. And she's been absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping to excel under and take the reins as I take the reins from her. But she's been great to work with. She retired after 12 years of being at Dan. She retired in July of 2020. While she was here, she was instrumental in the courses as we teach them today. Very instrumental in that process. She also coordinated all the CME workshops. That part has been rolled over to 2 other people here in Dan. She has trained hundreds of Dan examiners, trainers, instructors, and providers over the years. And amongst her many accomplishments, she is a PADI course director. In 2018, she was awarded the SSI Pro Platinum Diver. In 2019, she earned an honorary NAUI membership. She's only one of 3 people to do that. And she's been inducted, most importantly, she's been inducted into the Women's Diving Hall of Fame in 2018. So we really wish Patty the absolute best in her retirement, and best wishes to her and all of her future endeavors. So with her retirement, And rather than having a department of one, we decided to roll the training into the part of the risk mitigation team. So this happened in July of 2020 as well. Risk mitigation training became one department. So as first aid training is an integral part of mitigating risk and preparing for risk, this made a logical fit between these two departments. This allowed for some in-house support and collaboration, so I wasn't just a one-person island. But with this came some expansion duties. We'll get into that here in just a minute. And Francois Berman is our Director of Risk Mitigation. He is also a featured presenter here for the DEMA Talks with Dan. Of course, there's me. And then Chloe is our Coordinator of Risk Mitigation, and she's also a presenter. So you're going to see our faces throughout this week. So as some expanded duties, we're helping develop some various risk mitigation programs and e-learning modules. This includes things like the risk assessment, and you're probably already aware of the Dan boater safety and the breathing gas quality assurance e-learnings we have. This came out of the risk mitigation team. We're helping to provide tools, knowledge, and awareness and training to deal with risk mitigation in these areas. You know, HIRA dive safety officer training, webinars, industry show presentations, as we all know. We're also integrated into the safety products, so we can better coordinate safety products with risk mitigation. But my focus still is the Dan First Aid courses and support for you guys, all the instructors, trainers, examiners, your students, and the providers as they have questions. And so that remains my primary role within the risk mitigation team. So moving on to some statistics. As of October of 2020, we have a total of 217 instructors, 917 instructor trainers, and 31 examiners. So these people are doing a great amount of teaching, in teaching tens of thousands of students each and every year. And we thank you for that and your support. So some statistics as we look back over the years. 2019 was a record year for course completion. So just a big round of applause for all of you for your efforts in that. It was an absolutely banner year across the board in every course. All 7 courses of ours each set records. And as we all know, in the era of COVID, 2020 has been quite challenging. It's presented various hurdles, and it's shut down for a while the ability to actually train. So of course our numbers are down. They're not down as much as one would think. They're down about 2019 in course enrollment and only about 25% in course completions. And in fact, in October, one of the courses, DFA Pro, was actually up over the month-to-month from 2019. So again, kudos to all of you. And here's just some graphics so you can kind of see what's going on. The red bars are the 2019 numbers, and the orange bars are the 2020 numbers as of the end of October. So this is the red numbers are all of 2019. The orange is of October up through the end of October. So we're not really that far off, all things considered. So again, thank you for your efforts and all that, and keeping these numbers up and providing the quality training to these people so they can intervene successfully in the case of an incident or an accident while they're out diving or just walking down the street. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about some of the COVID-19 protocols. Most of you are already aware that these are up on the website at diversalertnetwork.org/COVID-19. They're also available in the resources tab in the e-learning platform at dan.diverelearning.com. But I wanted to go over some of these because we still have some people that are maybe not familiar with them, or maybe have some questions, and this might spur some of those questions for the Q&A section later. And there are some that haven't taught yet using these protocols. So I want to go over and hit some of the highlights. So first and foremost, follow your local protocols. That's above and beyond everything else we can do here. We have to write these very generically. We can't dictate what one might do in North Carolina or California or Texas or Chicago, because those protocols may and probably are different. So follow your local protocols. And ideally minimize your class size to promote social distancing. You can do a class of 1 or 2, great, but try to minimize that class size. And of course, anybody who's been exposed or is exhibiting symptoms, reschedule them. You don't want you or your participants around them. And that's okay. Just reschedule them, not a big deal. Disinfect and sanitize everything, mannequins, classroom, all of that. Advertise to your students or advise your students what you're going to be doing to help ensure their safety and to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 contamination and spreading. And inform the students what you need them to do, wearing masks, wearing gloves, and so on as they're in the class. And require all the participants to wash or sanitize their hands before the skills, keep that hand sanitizer on board, wear masks or wear your face coverings and use hand sanitizer and of course the gloves as recommended. Each student should have their own oral nasal mask with the chimney kept in place. And just, I mean, we all know that this part right here is the chimney. Okay. When you're using the chimney in conjunction with the demand valve or the MTV, the valve adapter is to be disinfected in between students. You're going to wipe that down well, maybe have a couple of them if you have them, so you can get that moisture and soaking time and then swap them out. For the demand valve skill, when you're demonstrating this and when the students are practicing this, you want to start with the demand valve. You're going to start with your mask or you're going to test the demand valve. Then whoever is going to be is playing the role of the unfortunate party will put their mask on and then breathe from it. So that way each person is using their own mask only for that particular skill. For two-person CPR skills, whoever's doing the chest compressions should be wearing the mask, the face covering. The person doing ventilations is using their own pocket mask, oral nasal mask for those ventilations. When you're switching the roles and moving back and forth, you're going to who was on compressions is going to move to ventilations and switching masks. And whoever was on ventilations is going to put their face covering on and start on compressions. If you're doing role playing with an injured ill person, make sure you're wearing the face coverings again and try to get that social distancing if possible. For instance, you can do that much more easy in neuro skills than you can with, say, control of external bleeding. So just work with those and use those precautions of the face coverings and gloves. Disinfect the mannequins between the students. And if you can, each student should have their own mannequin. That's going to be a great help in this. Probably dispose of all the non-rebreather masks, or the students can take them with them. They are their masks if you're providing non-rebreather masks to them. Do not, again, just like the pocket masks, do not share the non-rebreather masks among the students or yourself. They're single-use items. They should not be shared. Disinfect the exterior bag valve mask and use the BVMs only on mannequins. Wear gloves at all times. And use the gloves, it's part of this, it's the standard for a lot of these skills anyway, but now we're just increasing the use of gloves throughout. And it should be diligently followed to help mitigate the spread of COVID. And exercise caution using when we're dealing with things that require irrigation or you're using more of a liquid moulage and that liquid might spray. So just mitigate that and use exercise some caution to mitigate that spread. And use face coverings and gloves. All right, on to the meat of this. So version 3.0, okay. We were planning on having this out earlier this year, but of course, COVID-19 threw a wrench into the whole works, including we've got most of the materials already done, but the main thing was the video shoot. We were updating a good chunk of the videos, instructional videos that go in the e-learning modules, and some still shots that will go into the PowerPoints. That we were originally scheduled for March, then it got pushed back to August, and then September, and then October, and now November, and November again. So actually, I'm leaving tomorrow for the video shoot. So this is actually going to get done this year. So we're excited about that. So but we're leaving tomorrow to go do this video shoot, and we're looking forward to having those updated videos here very, very shortly and as part of the version 3.0 rollout. We're finishing up the material with some recent ILCOR and AHA updated recommendations. We're going to talk a little bit about those in just a moment. Some of those highlights of those recommendations include a 6th link in the chain of survival. It's the first 5, but now we've got a recovery link. This is not going to be an additional skill. This is going to be a few lines in the text and in the e-learning for your students to be aware of. Use of real-time audiovisual feedback. This has now been a recommended guideline with ILCOR. So if you have those CPR mannequins that do not have an audio or visual feedback device, a click, lights, whatever your device has, like the Q CPR mannequins from Laerdal, the lights and the click from Preston, or whatever brand you have, you've got to have a real-time audio-visual feedback with version 3.0 as we're moving this forward. So anticipate that. And the other thing that's changed is infant children assisted ventilation rate. It's now 1 breath every 2 to 3 seconds. That changed from every 3 to 5 seconds. And this will all be in the update we'll talk about here in just a moment. So we, of course, last year we did this as part of the update, and I just want to reiterate some of these points so you're, again, keeping this fresh in your head as we're moving forward with these updates for version 3.0. Foreign body airway obstruction. We are now adding, in addition to abdominal thrusts, we are adding chest thrusts, and we're adding back blows. These are important to be in compliance with some international guidelines. Studies have shown that no one of these is any particularly better than another, but some local protocols require certain techniques over another technique. So we just want you to be aware of those, and those have been included to match those local and regional jurisdictional concerns. Of course, wound packing. Wound packing is for very deep bleeds, very deep cuts. If you're doing just surface packing or stopping the bleed, just covering the surface, it actually doesn't stop the bleed down deep in the tissue. So wound packing will be in version 3.0. With tourniquets, the protocol is still 5 centimeters or 2 inches above the wound, or high and tight if there's multiple injuries, or you just, because there's so much blood, you can't see where the wound or wounds are. So high on the limb. And secondary assessment has been revised. So if a life-threatening condition is identified, stop the assessment and activate EMS if not already accomplished. This was put in place because if you're doing an assessment before, if you touch someone's shoulder and they had an abrasion and they said it hurt, you would have to stop the assessment. But we may have missed the internal bleeding from a hard and distended abdomen because we had stopped the assessment. So we want to stop the assessment if there's a life-threatening condition identified. That'll be in version 3.0. And we're adding BVM into the CPR skills. This is a response to CPR guidelines with COVID-19, and it's recommended that people providing chest compressions and ventilations in full CPR, that they use a BVM if possible, or a pocket mask with a HEPA-like filter. So we're going to be adding BVM into the 3.0 guidelines, and we're anticipating this as also a recommendation that's going to come down from ILCOR in the future as we continue to combat COVID and other viral diseases. So how are we going to do all this? We're going to look into the future here. Again, we're doing this in compliance with the 2019 and 2020 guidelines. It incorporates recommendations from American Heart Association, Australia, New Zealand Council on Resuscitation, the European Resuscitation Council, and all these fold into recommendations into ILCOR. Our focus for version 3.0 is going to be on emergency oxygen, BLS, and DFA Pro. The other courses are still going to be there, but these are our focuses of emergency oxygen, basic life support, and DFA Pro. These are our focuses. And the reason is these are our most popular courses. Our most popular course that's taught by all of you folks is emergency oxygen, then DFA Pro, then BLS. This is true month after month after month. That's why these are our focus. And these are the ones we're going to be working on and rolling out first. With EO2, there's just some ILCOR-related updates. Nothing major, no major changes in EO2. With BLS, we're going to be incorporating BVM, as we mentioned. We're also going to be incorporating 1 and 2 rescuer child, infant, and 2 rescuer adults into our BLS course. And this is, again, in anticipation of recommendations coming out from ILCOR to be in compliance with those and make our BLS program a little more robust. And DFA Pro, that's really our base course, even though EO2 is our flagship. Everything is being based off of Dan DFA Pro because it's, as you all know, it's an all-encompassing course. And once we make an adjustment in our DFA Pro course, that is easily then translated into the other courses. Okay. And then the rollout. So we're anticipating the launch date of this in late in Q1 of 2021. There will be a transition time as we roll this out. Okay. And that transition is going to take us through the end of 2021. So once we roll out 3.0, you can still teach 2.1, or you'll be able to teach 3.0 after you've completed the update to get you to 3.0. And then in that update will be online, so you can do that at your own leisure. It will go into the specifics of these changes, where you're going to find those changes, and how those are being integrated into 3.0. It'll be a mandatory update for all instructors across the board to be able to teach 3.0. Examiners and trainers will have 3 months to complete this update, and there's going to be a reason for that, because we're going to put some onus on you folks to bring some of the instructors up to speed on some of the skills they may not have. So we want you guys to be aware of this first. That's why we're putting a deadline of 3 months. Once we roll out 3.0 update and the versions, you'll have 3 months to complete this update. Since the focus is going to be on DFA Pro, any DEMP ITs are recommended to upgrade with an examiner to full suite, meaning you're going to add DFA Pro and HCP into your repertoire. It's recommended, not required, but it's going to be recommended. BLS and HCP instructors will need to get with a trainer or an examiner to add the BVM skill if you're not already an EO2, DEMP, or full suite instructor. And the reason is because if you're an EO2, DEMP, or full suite instructor, you've already been introduced to BVM, you understand it, you're able and you're qualified to teach it. So if you're just a BLS instructor or just an HCP instructor and you haven't had those other courses, you'll need to get with a trainer once we roll out 3.0, so you can get up to speed on the BVM skill. BLS instructors, if you're just a BLS instructor, you'll need to get with a trainer or examiner to add the CPR 1 and 2 rescue adult, child, and infant. And that's why we're wanting the examiners and trainers to do these updates and prepare for that as we getting ready to roll forward. And we're recommending all instructors upgrade to full suite. Again, this gives you the diverse marketability and of all 7 courses available to teach to your students. Okay. And it's anticipated the version 2.1 will be turned off on December 31st, 2021. So we're working very hard and as fast as we can to get this launched out as early as we can in Q1, so we have a longer transition time. And that's our goal there.
Awesome.
So let's talk about some common calls and emails that we get in the frequently asked questions. We get this call, I would say, almost daily. I need my certification card. Where can I find it? And this is all from provider levels. So please inform your students that all they need to do is log into their e-learning profile, go to the completed tab, select the course they took that they want the card for, and then next to the course record, you'll see that box, which is your credential card. It's a wallet-sized card. It's a printable image. It's also a savable image. And if there's a course certificate like there is for DFA Pro or BLS, then that printable certificate will also be there. And I get this question, I would say on a monthly, if not weekly basis, when do my teaching credentials expire? You can do the same thing, except go to your teaching tab, find that course record, and then right here, you'll see when that course expires. For me, this one expires January 28th of 2022. And that's for my DFA Pro instructor. So you can find it there under the teaching tab. Students, look under the course record and the completed tab. You'll look for your instructor ratings under the teaching tab. I've sent an invitation to the student for this course. They're not seeing it. How can we fix this? There are several possible answers to this question. Please ensure that there are no typographical errors in the email address you send it to. Resend if necessary. I have fixed several, they sent it to johndoe@gmail.com, but they misspelled mail. They M-I-A-L instead of M-A-I-L. So little typos like that, they won't find their certificate. So if you see those, just resend their certificate or the invitation, not a big deal. If the student accidentally deleted the invitation, resend the invitation, not a big deal again. Sometimes there is a technical glitch, and as a last resort, you can call us here at Dan. 919-684-2948. Option 4 will get you to the training department, the training queue, and either myself, Chloe, or somebody else can help you with this process. And we can manually add them that way. I can't see my students. What's going on? This is typically due to one of two things. The first being your DAN membership has expired. So if you're logging in and you can't see your students, check to see if your DAN membership's been renewed. If it hasn't, renew it, and boom, your teaching status will come back. The second is your teaching status for a given course has expired. Okay, so you haven't taught an HCP class in over 2 years, and you're gonna teach it, and you're all of a sudden not able to teach it. That's why your teaching status has expired. There are updates available that right now currently in the available tab, in the My Courses tab, you'll see the 2020 updates. You can take that to renew and push that expiration date forward. If it's not one of these two, give us a call at that number above, and we'll help you work through that on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes it's another little technical glitch, but we can fix that typically pretty easy over the phone. All right, so let's take a minute here and let's open up to your questions.
All right, fantastic. We've gotten a lot of great questions in the chat so far. So
Excellent.
Jim, I will start sending those your way. All right, question from Helen. Are ACTARs acceptable?
ACTARs do not have an audio-visual feedback device. Unless ACTAR has changed their manufacturing process and put those in. So the ACTARs are not recommended, and they would not be in compliance with the 2020 ILCOR guidelines moving forward with version 3.0.
Okay. All right, thanks for that. Is a pocket mask adequate, or must we change mannequin lungs between every usage?
I would change the mannequin lungs after each course. Actually, if you're doing a 2-day course like a DEMP or a DFA Pro course that's taking you 2 days to do it, or for our trainers and examiners, I would change those out each evening after you're done with the day, but you don't need to change lungs between students during the day.
Okay. Had a request to show the chimney again. If you wouldn't mind pulling that up.
Absolutely.
On your PowerPoint. Oh, yeah.
So the chimney is this part up here. It's the removable part of your pocket mask. I'll try to show it against my blue background shirt here so you can see it a little better. It's just this little part. That's the chimney. And that's the part that goes into the inside of your demand valve or the MTV as appropriate. Here's the MTV, and it can go in that way.
Great. I love a presentation with props. All right, next. Let's see. We have an instructor who has fallen out of active teaching status. How can that person? And it sounds like later they mentioned they were last did a course in 2016. How would that person go about getting back to active teaching status?
Since it's been over 2 years, they'll need to get with a trainer to update those credentials.
Okay, great. Oh, yes. And here's a question probably for me. Will this presentation be recorded and available? Yes, indeed. This presentation is being recorded. We will probably put it on Dan's YouTube channel, so keep an eye there. We will also make it available to DEMA. DEMA is hosting all recorded presentations for sponsors and exhibitors like Dan through the end of this year. So we will, once we get this video downloaded and uploaded to DEMA, I think they'll be hosting it through the end of this year, and it may well live on our Dan's YouTube indefinitely.
Let me dovetail into that as well. We're also planning on doing some webinars with the same exact update for those that couldn't make this one, and doing it a couple different times. So again, we can deal with some time zones. We're also planning on an update in Spanish for our Latin America and South American instructors.
Great. Thanks for that. And just for anyone who may have missed the first few minutes of this presentation, we are asking everyone to give your name, your full name and instructor number in the chat. You can either send that to everybody, or if you'd prefer, just send it to me. I'm Brian Harper, Communications Director at Dan. I am logging all of everyone's and name and instructor number, so we do have record of you being here. If you sent it to Divers Alert Network, the Zoom channel on which Jim is currently broadcasting, do actually send it to me instead. That chat is not being monitored, so make sure to send any questions or your name and instructor number to me in case you already did send it to Divers Alert Network. If you already sent it to everyone, that's fine. I've logged those as well. Okay, next question. Will you also align to Canadian standards?
Yes, we will. That's part of the ILCOR guidelines. The Canadian Resuscitation Council also contributes to CRC, or CRC also contributes to ILCOR. So we're integrating those. I highlighted ANSCOR and the ERC because those are the two big ones that we had to comply with some significant changes. But yes.
Great. Okay, any plans to align to the Provence requirements to be acknowledged in the office?
Can you repeat that, Brian?
Either province or Provence. I'm not sure about that one.
I'm not sure about that one either.
Okay.
If you email that question to oxygen@dan.org and I'll field that offline.
Perfect. I will put that email address. That's oxygen@dan.org. Likely all of you are familiar with it already, but just in case, there it is in the chat. Next question. If BLS incorporates child infant with 1 and 2 rescuer, what difference will remain for CPR with CPR HCP?
Very great question and great observation. We're actually merging those two courses together, essentially, is what we're doing. So you're going to see the CPR requirements standard across the board, and the first aid requirements being equally distributed across the both platforms. And eventually HCP will go away. It'll be just one CPR course.
Okay, great. We also have a comment in the chat. This looks like it's from Patty Siri. Hey, Patty. Students do not have to receive the invite to access their course. They can log into e-learning, and as long as they use the email address they gave their instructor.
That is absolutely correct. Yep, she's absolutely correct on that. Thank you, Patty, for that addition. As always,
it's like she's still with us.
Absolutely, she still is. So we appreciate that. Yes, as long as they use that exact address. Again, if there's a glitch and they use that exact address and it's not there, just contact us and we'll fix that.
All right, great. Next question regarding renewal. News for Brazilian memberships.
That one I don't have an answer to right now. Again, once you pose that question to Oxygen, and I'll get with our Brazil people and we'll figure that, we'll get the appropriate answer to you, because I don't have that answer off the top of my head.
Okay, oxygen@dan.org. We'll get that sorted out for you. And a question about a Spanish version. I'm assuming that's in reference to course revision 3.0?
Yes, we'll be doing this update in Spanish. It's the slide deck is actually being translated right now by one of our examiners. And she will take on the lion's share of the presentation. I'll be doing it alongside her via webinar, and that way it'll be done in Spanish, and so we can deal with our folks that are not fluent or don't understand English at all.
All right, great. Next question. You mentioned the need to do the update. When is this going to be available for 3.0?
It'll be available when we roll out 3.0. It'll all be launched at that same time.
All right.
Great question.
And along those same lines, will this update reset our instructor clocks?
Yes, it will. If it hasn't, yes, it will if you needed to. If you're already extended out because you've recently taught, then you're fine.
Okay. Great. Is there a recommended source for a HEPA chimney?
I did some research on this, and there are 2 manufacturers I was able to find that make pocket masks and chimneys that have HEPA compliant filters. I use HEPA compliant because they don't have the official rating as HEPA, but the filters have the same filtration as HEPA filters. And actually, the ones we have from Dan do meet that standard.
Excellent.
The other brand, I knew this question was going to be asked, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Email me out and I'll provide that other brand to you. But we do, the ones Dan does sell do have that HEPA compliant grade of filter on them.
All right, thanks. Next question, Jim, will there be any extension of teaching expiry dates due to COVID? In my area, all non-essential businesses, including mine, are closed.
So by doing this update and doing the 2020 update, which we put on, which is already online, this will extend your teaching credentials.
All right. All right. Next question. Are there specific skills you want the IT to focus on during the IQC, or all of them?
Ideally, you're going to cover all the skills in DFA Pro in your hands-on portion, unless they recently did something with them. But yeah, you want to cover all those recent skills, especially CPR, neuro, HMLI skills, bleeding skills, tourniquet skills. All those should be covered in your skill development portion.
Okay. Great. Next question. What are the thoughts on remote teaching if the students have the supplies?
That's a great question, and one that we have been kicking back and forth. Right now, our overall recommendation is to not do remote teaching because I know some agencies are doing that. We're open to that, but let's deal with it. Give me a call, let's set it up, and so we can talk about the parameters on that.
Okay. Good. Let's see. What are the thoughts? Oh, sorry. No, we just covered that one. Next, will there be an examiner meeting call? I don't think we have one scheduled at DEMA. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim.
Yeah, there is no examiner meeting in conjunction with DEMA, but prior to the launch of 3.0, we will be doing a meeting with all the examiners.
All right. So stay tuned for Oxygen Window and all the normal.
We'll contact all the examiners directly via email to set that time up.
All right, just scrolling through here. This is great. I thought we were at the bottom, and there are more questions coming in. Are there any plans for virtual skill verifications, at least until COVID restrictions lessen?
Again, this is one we've been talking about, and it's kind of taken a back burner as things have opened up. Now that things are starting to maybe peak and shut down again, we're going to take another look at this, and we'll be discussing this in further detail once I get back from the video shoot.
Okay. Good. And earlier there was the question about Actars and audio components. Do press stand mannequins with lights comply? The audio is a clicker. Okay.
Yep, the press stand mannequins do comply because they've got the click and they've got the visual and the light indicators in the shoulder.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right, moving through these. Thanks everyone for putting your name and instructor number in the chat. Again, if you haven't done that, you can send it directly to me, Brian Harper, or to everyone, and I am logging those. Patty was not given permission to retire by some of her beloved instructors, examiners, and instructor trainers. We miss her already. All right, next question. So
I didn't give her permission either.
Right, what's going on here? So is DIMP and DFA Pro effectively going to be the same thing if BLS merges and HCP is one?
Essentially, yes.
Okay. All right. Moving on to, is ILCOR changing requirements for healthcare professional CPR? You indicated merging it across the board. Will that be an issue?
For healthcare providers, that's why we're upping we're upping the 1 and 2 respirator adult, child, and infant into one course, to fall more in line with that and to make our BLS course more robust.
So that's indeed part of the thinking there, is to remain ILCOR compliant.
Absolutely.
Good. All right. Let's see. Moving on. Oh yes, regarding the mannequins and the feedback that you get from them, do you need light and sound, or only one of the two?
Yeah, the recommendation from ILCOR, the guideline from ILCOR is audio visual. So it's got to have an audible click and a visual cue. Now this can be done with a Bluetooth connection. It can be done with lights and a clicker. It can be done with an add-on device that some manufacturers that you can put on the chest itself. It's going to vary from mannequin to mannequin as to what that is, but it's the recommendation is audio visual.
All right, good. Moving on, we have, you were hoping 3.0 be ready before the end of the year. When do you hope Spanish might be out, including movies?
So once we get that done, then it will be sent to the translators for the sections that we've updated. You know, some stuff in version 3.0 has not changed at all, not one iota, not one character. So we can keep those translations. So we can do a much more focused translation and hopefully faster, and get that rolled out as quick as possible. I don't have a date on that yet.
Okay. Will any of these courses meet the OSHA standards for bloodborne pathogens?
DFA Pros will still meet that.
Okay, great. And will this information transfer to NAUI?
Yes, our intention is once we roll 3.0 out is to push that over to the NAUI platform as well.
Okay. Have these courses been Coast Guard approved for captain's licensing?
So currently our DFA Pro course is approved for captains and first mate licenses, and our BLS course is approved for seafaring personnel.
Okay, fantastic. If you have any other questions, hit us with them quickly. I think we're out, or if I missed yours, I think I'm at the end of questions that I'm aware of. So if I didn't get yours asked, please drop it in the chat once more. Here come a few more. Will grants be available for audiovisual mannequin upgrades?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something we can certainly talk about as we're moving forward.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt to send an email. That'll help give us the talking points to have this.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Okay, Canada. Yeah, a question again. Any of this going to be approved for Canada? So I think we covered that one. Yep. The answer is basically yes.
Yep, and we'll be working towards that and doing all the paperwork as needed.
Good. Does the Little Annie mannequin, Little Annie, on the Dan site meet ILCOR standards?
I believe it does, because I think if it comes with a QCPR module, then yes, it does. If it does not, then it does not. But the QCPR, if you already have a Laerdal Little Ann or one of those, you can purchase the QCPR add-on, and that just installs inside the mannequin itself.
Okay.
So that's an easy upgrade.
All right. What about French for 3.0 and the status of French for 2.0?
Again, in French for 2.1, we have most of them already up and online in our e-learning platform, available in French. And French is one of the key languages we'll be translating 3.0 into as well.
Okay. Let's see. What date will we need to meet the audiovisual requirement by?
When we roll 3.0 out. So you've got a little bit of time. And as you're teaching 2.1, you're okay, but 3.0 is going to require the audio visual.
Okay. Where does it show online about your teaching status and when that expires?
Okay, so if you log into the e-learning profile, you can click on the teaching tab, select the course that you're wanting to inquire about. So for instance, you want to know when your oxygen emergency oxygen provider course or teaching status runs out. You can open that course up in the teaching tab, and in that card you will see when that expires.
All right. Okay, Coast Guard approval for captain license is for the USA. Will that be extended to Canada?
Well, we will need to work with the Canadian Coast Guard for that approval directly.
Let's see, here's another question. Where can I see my instructor card?
Again, those will be on the e-learning profile, and in the course completion, in the completed tab, you'll see your provider level and your instructor level cards, and then your expiration dates will show on the teaching tab.
Okay. When will the 2.x platform be retired? That is, when will we no longer be able to teach that?
That date is anticipated to be December 31st, 2021.
Okay. All right.
These are great questions.
Does Teaching DFA Pro update teaching status for all the component courses?
It does.
Great.
Yep.
Indeed. You mentioned alignment with Canadian requirements, but not whether the courses will be certified to meet provincial occupational health and safety standards.
Again, that's one we'll have to work directly with the Canadian authorities to get that paperwork pushed through.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end. So any
Excellent.
last questions? We'll see them now, or we will say thank you. We will join all of you in saying thanks. Thanks to you, Jim. Great presentation.
And, and a special thanks to, and all of you are members, obviously, but thank you. As Frauke said earlier, you guys help keep the lights on here, so we appreciate your membership and promotion of Dan courses. Look, a lot of you I've talked with over the phone. Many of you I've met in person. Looking forward to working with you in the years to come. So thank you for being here, and we'll go from there.
Yes, and we hope to see you at 2021 DEMA in person, and maybe even dive shows before that. Fingers crossed. So yeah, be safe, everyone. That's a great message there in the chat. Thank you all for joining us today for this presentation, for any others that you sat in on. Really great to have you all here. And we hope to see you again tomorrow. So stop by tomorrow for great presentations by Francois, by Petar de Noble, by our medical crew, Matthias Nichetto, Jim Chimiak, Camilo Saraiva. Great content coming at you tomorrow, and again, afternoons for the rest of this week. So I hope everyone has a productive and rewarding DEMA 2021. Thanks again for your support of Dan, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you all.
4 days, 9 safety experts, 13 presentations, one simple mission: to make diving safer. This is Dan at DEMA 2020. Safety seminars from the pros who know.